Hello, welcome to Talk Haunted to Me. I'm Reece. Behind this guy.
I'm Chris. Yeah.
We're at the Oxanna Victorian with Renee and Kelly. Say hello. Hey.
Hi.
How are y'all doing this evening?
Great.
Good.
Yes.
So excited to have you here in the house.
We're excited. It's a really, really neat place. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the spirits like you too. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're in the purple room.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, the most haunted room in the house with the most activity.
Excellent. So we'll see what happens while we're in here, and then we'll see what happens on some of the footage and EVP sessions we have for during this podcast and a little bit after. So, anyways, I guess the big thing we want to know, and I know you wanted to really speak about it, is the history of this this place. Kind of what drew you to it, and just tell us about it.
Okay, well, I'm originally from Oregon, and what brought me to the South was the beautiful historic homes. Because they don't have these really in Oregon unless you're going to pay $1 million plus. So, yeah, we looked online and, saw these wonderful ornate architecture homes for around $99,000, So, wow, here we go. We looked online. We wanted to go to Tennessee first, and I ended up owning a 1910 farmhouse on 10 acres.
Wow.
And so we lived there about 6 years, and then we got older. My kids ran away to college, and it was just me and my husband. He worked all the time, so I was like, can't do this anymore.
Right.
Even though we had quarter-acre gardens and fruit trees, and it was just so nice. So I looked online, and I found a couple houses here in Alabama. One was in Union Springs. I believe that's by Auburn. And it was a 5,000 square foot, beautiful, beautiful home with pillars and a huge stained glass window that took up the whole wall, and the 3 stairways. It curved around all the way up, mahogany. 8 rooms upstairs. Oh, it was beautiful. But it was in a very rundown town.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was our other option, and we fell in love with the house. So, and we just bought and moved. Didn't do any history, nothing. Just, hey, we want the house moved.
When was that? Like what time?
2015.
Okay.
We moved in January 2016. So,
Cool.
yeah. And I've lived here now for almost 7 years. Off and on in the house. But anyways, I think the house is just as important as what we're talking about, the paranormal. And a lot of people love the history of the house, the architectural style, and you history buffs. So
Right.
I just kind of thought I did a presentation for the Historic Society, and this is just a little bit of notes from it. I thought I would just read off, a little bit of history for people that don't know. The Victorian era corresponds to the time when Queen Victoria ruled Britain from 1837 to 1901, during which the Industrial Revolution brought many innovations in architecture. The advances in manufacturing and transportation enabled builders to access better quality materials, to make more complex and decorative designs, and apply color paints for the first time to buildings. There's a wide variety of Victorian styles, each with its own distinctive features. The Second Empire, the Queen Anne, the stick shingle, and Richardsonian Romanesque. A little hard to say. It created an architecture that was ornate, ornamental, and perhaps overly decorative, telegraphing the wealth and success of the age. Americans found an architectural trend going on in Europe and brought it to the United States and altered it in a uniquely American way like we love to do. The American Queen Anne was created with elaborate spindle work and gingerbreading, which is one of the most distinctive features of the styles today. After 1910, the American Queen Anne fell out of favor. The colonial revival and the American craftsmen took over. And that's what you mostly see where I'm from in Oregon, is the craftsmen.
And Renee, the gingerbreading.
Yes, this is what we're talking about. For
The little frills and scrolls and everything everywhere.
which my house still has the original on this side of the porch. So
Right.
That's cool.
yeah, and the house throughout they've kept, the original trim work and the ornating details, the transoms, and 9-inch trim board.
Yeah.
There
Wow,
are
that's
a lot
pretty
of
high. I
hand.
didn't even notice that.
There are a lot of hand carved medallions and things in the woodwork. And the staircase, the railing and everything is hand carved. The mantles are gorgeous.
Each room has a fireplace mantle in it.
Yes, and the detail is beautiful.
Right.
Now, my house was actually more the folk Victorian, the more affordable one of the day. So, this, if we can do this, was the original. Here. Would I point it that way? This is the original picture of the house before all this extra porches and stuff got added on back in the day.
Okay.
Which is the folk Victorian styles of the day. So.
And can I add something? This
Yes, go ahead.
home was built in 1880 by Charles Cooper. He's the patriarch of the Cooper family. Had tons of kids. What did we say, like 13?
I have them listed. I think there's
Okay.
9 of them all together.
But some of them didn't even live past 10, you
Yes.
know. But they're all buried in the cemetery up the street.
That's on
and-
that board.
And they all pretty much lived here together. And, you know, there were a lot of children in this house. A lot of his daughters married prominent local men who became politicians.
We had Davis C. Cooper, which I don't know, he's on that board now. Anyway, he was a mayor of Oxford for 19 years. The president of the Baptist church, whatever. And then like a Freemason also. So he was very prominent in the community.
And Mr. Cooper and his son were instrumental in establishing the first bank in Oxford. They also had the first grocery store. And I think they had a mercantile.
Yeah, it used to be across the street
yes.
at one time.
So they're very prominent family.
They helped get the railroad coming through here.
Yes. And he got his fortune by selling the iron ore off of the many, 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 many acres of land he owned.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. He pretty much brought Oxford together. They wouldn't have a town now if it wasn't for
Yeah, I say, but he did a
Cooper
lot of
family.
things that are kind of important when building a town. So that's
Yeah.
in that time frame.
And the thing
Yes.
is, there are so many Coopers here still,
Still,
and
generations.
they probably don't even have any idea that they're a Cooper, like a Cooper, you know.
I have actually met a couple. One was a police officer, and he had some good history. So generations passed down. So it's pretty neat.
Any of them come by here to kind of see the place? Like any Coopers come looking?
You want to hear a story, Tanner?
Yes.
Now this house brings people to it. I don't know why, but it does. I had some young college students move in, and just really outgoing, nice kid. I wish he could be here. He's the radio guy. I'm telling you, he's just outgoing.
Oh yes.
But he did a genealogy because that's what he loves to do. Because he's one of the backwood, you know. What would you say?
Tanner, he's Loretta Lynn's number one
Yes,
fan.
he's Loretta Lynn's number one fan.
Yes, he has a picture quilt, and he just got her name tattooed on his arm.
And he's 19 years
And he's
old.
19. Loves
Wow.
Loretta.
Listens to old time gospel, going down the road in his car,
yes.
and
So
just
anyway,
very
that's-
unique.
My brother-in-law's like that. He's a little older now, but even when he was probably early teens, when I first met him, he was very much into gospel and Loretta Lynn and all that stuff. He was pretty
Yeah,
devastated with the
love
news.
his
Yeah, so is he. Oh my goodness, he said he was crying all day.
But
Anyways, he did a genealogy for me to get history, and he found out that Mary Cooper is a great great aunt or something. So he's related to the Coopers, and he was drawn to this house.
Wow.
Yeah.
not only does this house draw people to it, I think it kind of picks who it wants
It
to
does.
be its caretaker. Because when I met Renee, she and her husband had already split. This house was her responsibility. She was working 3 jobs to keep it. And I'm talking about minimum wage jobs, okay? And she could not let go of it. She says, I can't stop. She says, this house has me. So that was our initial interview. She told me about what she had seen and the apparition and the Netflix teams who came and filmed the movie here, The Devil All the Time. That was newsworthy for this little town, you know? So, and it made a great October feature. But anyway.
But yeah, Charles Cooper was the actual builder, the start of this family, and he married Harriet.
Wait, devil all the time.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert
was here?
Pattinson.
Yes.
Yes.
That is crazy.
And
I,
the Avengers star, what's his name?
Tom Holland.
Oh, the
And
Spider-Man.
yeah. Spider-Man.
And they also filmed a part of it at the Peerless Saloon. I don't know if I mentioned the saloon to you. It's the oldest saloon in Alabama, and it's haunted too.
Well, last weekend, someone was talking about that movie for about an hour and a half. My wife's, or so I guess my mother-in-law, was just giving the whole plot to that for like an hour while I'm trying to cook. I was cooking for 'em.
Right.
Okay. I don't like plots being just told to me most of the time. I want to either see the movie or not know about it.
It's
Like,
a little dark, a little
very
messed
dark.
up.
Yeah. And anyway, because I was looking for a feature story for October, I heard about this house being the scene of a movie and potentially haunted. And I met Renee that day, and we had a great interview. And when we left, we hugged necks, and she invited me to come back, and we've been really good friends. She had some events coming up that I attended. My first ever. Leslie was here with the Southern Ghost Girl Tours, Leslie Hyde, and I just kind of walked in as an observer. I took some photos, I took some videos. I wish we still had that video of her breaking into a sweat with the dowsing rods just spinning, just going, I hope someone's videoing this. But anyway.
I was freaked out.
Yeah, and I saw some things that night, and that's the night that the big mirror fell.
Was that the one that
Yes, everyone was downstairs, and we heard the huge crash up
crashed?
there.
It was a big crash.
A big, huge mirror came off of the dresser. Everybody came running up here, and I'm downstairs like Scooby-Doo, looking for trap doors and wires and stuff, And there was a light in the corner, and in my mind, I just said, well, it was Robert we were talking to at the table at the time. And in my mind, didn't even speak it out loud. I said, okay, Robert, if you're here, show up and show out. That light turned from green to red. It lit up the whole room, and I was the only one down there to see it. Yeah, so.
Should have had a camera down there.
I know.
But now I lost my train.
Oh, I know. Because I talk too much.
Anyway, let me just go over what this house has because I feel that's important. Since we're doing fundraising, this is all. The only reason I'm doing any of this is to preserve the house.
Right.
And we're going to turn it into a community place for everyone to enjoy. So I want more generations to enjoy it. Because everybody in this town knows this house. They have a story or, I've always wanted to see inside that house. Or another girl said, we used to drive by that house when we were kids and pick a house. You know how kids do. I want to know. And it was this house, there's just, everybody loves this house.
Oh, yeah.
And it has the features that people don't know what they are now today. The transoms over every door to let the air flow in and out back in the day. The baseboards are.
Now I'm gonna. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
It has the cut decorative shingle, gingerbread trim on porches. It has 5 porches and 3 exterior doors, and the main door is 1880 stained glass door, and that's still original and very good shape, and has a doorbell ringers on it that still work.
Huh.
People love that. And it's got a bay window in the living room, and the hypothesis there was that that was the funeral room for the family. When people would pass, that's where they would put the coffins and do their, It's got 3 full bathrooms, and 2 of the bathrooms have clawfoot tubs. And the master bath has a spa tub with a stand-up shower, and it's pretty much as big as this room, the master bath.
Yeah. So
It's quite nice.
yeah.
Yes, with a quilt painting on the floor, which makes it really nice. So, and even a toilet. No, I haven't seen that before, where it has a door. You go in, it shuts. It's a separate room where the toilet is.
Yeah. I've never seen one that big. I've seen them with like almost like a closet you gotta climb into.
But there's plenty of room in
Shuffle
there.
But yeah, it's like a closet, like
Yeah.
a big closet.
It's like its own bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bathroom and a bathroom. It's got 5 actual bedrooms, living room, dining room, a large entryway between the dining and living rooms, and they have the original 9-foot pocket doors on each side. So
And they slide into the wall. Yeah.
Let's see. Every doorway has a transom above it. If can't really show it in here. We had it on the other one.
Yeah.
But if you know what those are, every doorway has it. So, and some of them are working and some aren't. And that was used to help regulate, like during the summer to have the breezes come through and keep the heat in the room. So,
Yeah, the college, especially y'all's building, had those
Yeah.
spots at the top above the
yeah.
door.
Yep.
And the upstairs has 12-foot ceilings, and downstairs has 14-foot ceilings throughout the house. And the kitchen was added on in 1940. So, and those also have the high ceilings. The outside still has the gingerbread and decorative molding throughout the home. Has 8 fireplaces with original tile work, original hardwood flooring. And up here they kept it the roughness where I don't really care. They didn't sand it or anything. My kids used to get slivers in their socks and their feet walking around up here.
Gee.
So good sanding or something would be nice up here. So the outside has the original 1880s carriage barn still standing. One garage, a circular driveway, 2 entrances, and a front fence with brick pillars and 3 park-like acres in town. So it's wonderful. Stays pretty quiet out here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So has a lot of potential too for what we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So, anyways, well, when I moved here, I thought we were going to have a family home, and 2 of my kids came down. My other daughter was already in her relationship, getting ready to get married.
Right.
So, anyway, I came down here with my parents and my 2 sons, and my ex-husband didn't end up coming. So, we lived here for about a year, and then my parents moved out to Munford and bought a home. And eventually my kids went back up, went to college. My husband finished high school up there. So I was here all by myself with this big home.
Right.
What am I going to do? So I worked 2 full-time jobs, because I had been a housewife most of those years, working occasionally. And so that was rough for a couple of years. And I'm a very creative person, so I'm like, what can I do? So I thought about tenants, renting out bedrooms. First experience for me.
Right.
First one was a nightmare. Taught me some lessons. Rented out rooms for about a year, and then Airbnb came along. Wonderful, Best experiences. You have wonderful guests that come through for events like the square dancing or dog biathlon or the bike riding or, lots of things here. They come, they stay, you clean the room the next day, it's perfect.
Right.
NASCAR races.
NASCAR races, yes, I would always be booked a year or 2 in advance for those.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yes. They're a little rowdier, but they're still nice people.
Right.
So I did that for a while, and then I met the first film crew that filmed here was a South Korean film crew, and they found me on Airbnb. And what they do is they go and they do different experiences, like ice fishing. Said they were going to go do that. Ice sailing. It was ice sailing. Yeah. So I was like, what is that? But they had just come back from filming a hunting show where they experienced hunting. And they were all dirty, and so they stayed here and got cleaned up. And what we ended up doing was like a little comedy skit down in the dining room, because they have a comedian that travels with them. That's what they do. And so I came out and I served a silver tea set, pretending I'm serving tea. And we did a little skit around the table, and it was about my dolls. They picked my dolls of all things, because people just get creeped out by dolls. And so,
Yeah.
You all right?
This one.
But anyway, that was my first experience there. My youngest son and his girlfriend were here. It was a lot of fun. That was Fish and Net Productions.
Okay.
And what they do is they send it home to South Korea, and it was a public broadcasting in Washington that they do. So I think that was Mary saying hello.
Hi, Mary.
She's just
She's
agreeing
happy.
with you.
Yeah. They did stay up here, so. But anyways, I believe, yes, the Netflix movie was the next one. The location scout came out, and he took some pictures. I was working at Honda at the time, so I wasn't here to meet him, but he fell in love with my father, so that's why he came back. he took pictures and he says, well, it's not going to work out for this project because the house is too nice, but I have an upcoming project. So 2 months later, he came and said, well, how would you like to be in the movie The Devil All the Time with Robert Pattinson and the Spider-Man, what's his name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. So anyways, so they ended up saying, well, we're going to use the barn for the filming. And I thought, okay, just the barn. And they wanted my 3 acres overgrown because it had been a while since I mowed it. They wanted it like a field. So they said, if we need it cut, we'll cut it. So I was like, okay. And I ended up having to work at Honda that night, so I didn't even get to be here. But they ended up filming during the day, and I must have been sleeping. I don't know. But anyways, so when I watched the movie, I was like, okay, are you looking for my barn? And it was where she committed suicide, in the barn. So I said, yep, that's my barn. And I was like, that's it? Well, come to find out, at the end of the movie, I was so excited. It showed his son, later on when he grew up, coming around my garage, and there was that old-time car that Tom Holland, or was it him, that was working on the car, and it showed the side of my house, so I was like, yay! My house is in the movie.
That's awesome.
So that was exciting. So, and then, I met Leslie Hyde from the Southern Ghost Girls. She was doing an event at the Talladega Library, and they needed a place to stay. So she booked it through Airbnb. And that night they stayed, they started, they wanted to see if my house was haunted. And boy, did they get a lot of activity.
Right.
So that's how I met her, and we've just been great friends, and, we collaborate a lot. And I used to travel with them and do their shows and stuff till I got sick, so I couldn't do it anymore. But she's came back several times. We did a first Halloween event, wasn't it?
Yes, that was the second one I came to was the Halloween, I think.
Was there a Christmas
the first
first?
One, okay, the first one I came to with the crashing of the mirror was Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a Christmas.
So it's the Halloween and the
we had
Christmas.
Ghost of Christmas Past, and that's when Sean, read the
Christmas
story.
Carol?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
And
great.
there was a lot of activity that night. We had a Reiki lady here who was like kind of, making sure nothing was attached to people. I mean,
Yeah.
do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's the night the guy said he felt really hot and really mad, and he felt
And
like
his
he
face
needed,
literally turned
and
red.
he felt like
Yes.
he needed. Oh no! Leslie said, "Are you okay?" He says, "No." He says, "I'm really hot." He said, "I feel really mad, like I could kill somebody. I need some fresh air." She said, "Go ahead, go outside." Yeah. So
That's Robert. That is.
Yes.
Yes, he affects the men that way, so you gotta be
and
careful.
when we have large,
Gatherings, they don't like, the
Gatherings.
ghosts do not like that. The spirits, sorry, Mary, spirits. She likes
yeah,
to call spirits.
they
Mary, is that okay?
Yes.
the men tend to get red faced, hot, and mad, and we think there was a lot of fighting here with that Robert and Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
There are a lot of anger, in these walls, and
Very controlling over the house, the women, the servants, we believe, too.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But
Okay.
the Halloween event was when Fox News came out, and that was exciting. They did a
Right.
special Halloween segment here, so that was another good publicity thing for the house. Let's see, and then it was Gavin Kelly with Truth or Legends, the TV show, came next.
and I was living here at the time. Yeah, after our interview, I actually had to move in January out of necessity, and I was here for all of the events. I decorated for the murder mystery we had. That was fun. Gavin had a great show here. Went to the library, but I don't know. Has their show aired yet?
They said it got put off to COVID, and then he lost some editors, and he's gonna.
I don't know.
Our editor Paul's
What I
gonna
don't
help.
know is if we can talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know if we can
Right.
really
Okay.
talk about
right,
it. till-
okay.
but
But yeah. So anyway. It
yeah.
was- right. So
Keep going.
But
You heard it here first. No.
right. So, but anyway, that was really fun and really productive. If you want to know what I mean.
And then we went on the radio to advertise for.
Yes, she and I have been on a radio show before. Vern Gostin's younger brother, Adam Gostin, was the host. So that was a lot of fun too. So just our association, or my association with this house and my friendship with Renee has turned into something just
A lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun with it.
a lot of
so,
fun. But
yeah.
at the same time, we want to preserve the house. We want it to be more than what it is, because we even talked about a welcome center. This is one main street. This is the first
pretty cool.
home.
Built in Oxford.
This is the first home when you come in from Anniston. This is the first home in Oxford. A welcome center for Main Street, not coming in on 21 with the mall and all that. Historic Oxford, with pamphlets and things to do and restaurants and things. I think, and she has ideas for gardens outside.
Greenhouses, classes for kids to learn about gardening, community gardens, greenhouses.
There's a lot of potential here, but it needs a roof really bad.
Yes.
Yes, and it needs gutters.
I had someone come out today and he said, "Stop the water leaks first, the gutters."
Yes, the water is a
Destroying the
major,
house.
major enemy
Yes.
of this home, and it costs so much money to have it repaired.
He said if we're really going to truly do this, we're going to need about $100,000 to do it right.
Yes, and you just can't get that many people in and out, as quickly as you need to raise the money. And number two, she got a cease and desist letter from the city government of Oxford. She can't have an Airbnb here anymore. They're stopping it.
That's weird.
Did they say why?
Because of big money motels, they're bringing in a new
Well,
Marriott.
their reason was it's a residential area. You can't operate a business in a
They
residential
came
area.
up with their excuse.
So,
Well, that was the whole point of Airbnb.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have
So-
it anywhere. Yeah.
I was in the process of putting things online and everything, and we were building a great site, and then they said cease and desist, and we just kind of decided to send out emails with links and ask for donations. So,
Yes, we are doing donations temporarily. So.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I assume the price for renovating a home this old is probably a lot more than just some run-of-the-mill house that was built 5
Yes,
years
because you
ago.
want to keep it original as possible.
Yeah.
Save the original what you can, instead of just replacing it with newer materials, because that's the whole point.
yes.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, they say if this house burnt down or fell down, well, it would cost $400,000 or $500,000 to replace. No, you can't replace it. Once it's gone, it's gone.
And look at the angles on this roof. Look how steep this roof is. You can't just get Joe Roofer to come do your roof.
Right.
And I mean, so it's gonna cost.
They agree.
They agree. They know.
Mary said hallelujah.
One of those Joe guys, but he's not doing my roof.
Okay.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought too now.
I know I have that effect on people.
But I mean, we have so much. It's not just about ghost tours, and
Right.
that's not really my main focus, even though it's fun and enjoyable and the history. But I mean, there's just so much potential here. Like I want to do a Christmas light tour. We're hoping to have a history ghost walk done by December,
Okay.
and we'll go to the different businesses, the graveyard. We're gonna end up at the Peerless Saloon.
Yes,
we
we've
figured
already
that out.
decided that we have kind of a progressive. You've been to a progressive party where you go from location to location and you end up at a place, and this is going to be a progressive tour of haunted places in historic Oxford, but we're going to end up at the Peerless Saloon. So,
And it has so much history at each spot, so
and
bring awareness to it.
Hubbard's, is that a warehouse?
It's
hardware.
No, Hubbard's is a restaurant.
Oh,
The
my
restaurant
bad.
downstairs.
I'm from Talladega, y'all.
And the Cotton Antique stores, those are all Cooper-owned building, at one time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's the Cooper history. And then they have the textile mill. All that's standing over there is the big, huge chimney out in the field by Big Time. I don't know if you guys know where that's at. They just built that. Okay, it's multi-fun center, rock climbing, miniature
Oh,
golf,
yeah.
all kinds of things. They just got that done. So, but the big chimney still stands there of the textile mill, and the original brick warehouse building, I would say, the first business building.
Yeah.
Very unique, and I've been drawn to that building too since I first saw it.
Yeah. And it's been a lot of things.
And it's number 1 also.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. See, I would love to have that building and add it to the history. So, but yeah, we just have a lot of things, weddings, photo shoots, gardening, food banks, movie night, have the territorium come down here with their carriage because right now they stop up there. I used to decorate this house to the hilt for Halloween, and you can kind of see it here. But of course, I stopped when they started doing all that. So
Yeah.
So I'd like to get that up and going again.
And one thing that's been a challenge, and I help Renee with this because number one, we are such good friends, and number two, I love the place too, and I have witnessed things personally, and I feel like that I can share these things credibly.
Yeah, she's a journalist, so she can't.
Yes, but also just wanting people to realize that this is so historic.
Yes.
1880 architecture, and there are colleges around here with engineering departments who can bring their students to look at some things, maybe suggest or see some of the problems that a historic building is having. You know what I'm saying? It's a excellent opportunity for a class to come and observe and maybe take data on and make suggestions or whatever, because buildings like this aren't common.
Right.
So that's all I'm going to say about
And
that.
they're not
Thank
even
you.
as ornate. I've seen other houses. It's still not like mine. It's just all the original trim work and ornate details, and they kept most of the original features as they could. So we definitely want to preserve that. So they like that.
Yes, they do.
That's a negative.
That's
Uh-oh.
a no.
Oh, that's a negative. Okay.
Okay,
She
Robert.
they might be confused.
Yeah.
It happens.
So we want to keep the house ornate, right? You want to keep your original history to it?
Still a no.
No, really, I think they're all trauma bonded to this home. They all want to leave at some point.
Unless that's the ones that are. We
Yeah.
believe Robert's keeping a lot of the spirits here.
You might want an elevator because I was dying coming up those stairs constantly.
I want to get one of those chairs that you ride up the
Just ride up the
stairs.
stairs.
Yes, because there's plenty of room for
I
it.
came up those stairs with chairs
With
for
the
you guys.
chairs,
I
yeah.
was.
I've thought about putting in a dumbwaiter.
There you go.
Yes. Intercom and a dumbwaiter.
But it's been fun, and I've interacted with some of the tenants, that lived here, and I've heard their stories as well. And when we get ready to talk about stories, I have a few.
So do you want to just start doing that, or?
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question. So I know I've heard some things. I didn't really ask too much beforehand because I wanted to kind of react to the stories real time on the podcast. But so how many spirits do you think actually reside in this house?
The main one is Mary Cooper.
Right.
That's our main. She's the mistress of the house, and Robert, her husband. He's more the challenging spirit. We got little Sam that likes to have his rocking horse. He likes to play hide and seek with people. You'll follow him around with your equipment. He'll knock here. He'll be in the bathroom the next time. You go in there, he'll come back in here. He just likes to play.
Well, it was interesting when you just said that because there was a place in Savannah and I was there and they had mentioned that there was a little girl ghost. I can't remember what her name was. I promise this is true. And they said that she played hide and seek, but her hide and seek was a little different. It was she would hide. You'd say, "Will you play hide and seek?" And then you would walk around the room and she would grab you from underneath a table, like she'd grab your pant leg or pull on something to let you know you found her, and then you would just continue playing.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I asked. She didn't really. We never found her. Yeah. Okay. I agree. But yeah, we never found her. But maybe she didn't want to hide. I don't know. But we went to every table that she could hide underneath. But
Yeah.
pretty interesting stories. But yeah, so he likes to hide. That's
Yes.
Sam, and I know we're kind of taking up your rocking horse at the moment, but hopefully you can
Yeah, when
show
I
that to us a little later.
when I first got that horse
Oh, cool!
Yeah.
Sounds great.
downstairs, we had it in the kitchen, and I turned around and I was talking to somebody. Just in that split second, now the tail was all splayed out, just hanging there, the strings.
Mhm.
Within that minute of me turning around, there was a knot tied in it, a tight knot, and I couldn't even make that knot if I wanted to.
Right.
I mean, it was just that quick.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, that's what you wanted. But,
All right, so you said Mary, Robert, Sam.
and
Is there any other-
Charles does show up occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And who's
We-
Charles? That's the
original
the patriarch.
father,
or
the patriarch, yes.
haven't we been given a number at one of the things about the number of?
There's supposed to be a portal in the attic, and it no.
And also.
He says the bathroom. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also in the backyard, we were told too.
Yes.
The backyard.
It was the toilet in the closet.
Yeah.
That's where the.
But the cemetery is so close,
Mhm.
and we were told that
There's been many, many spirits at one time in here.
yeah, and I think that didn't Leslie ask them if they were free to leave, and they said no. So yeah, I think they're just being controlled.
Either by Charles or
domineering-
Robert or both. Or,
by a domineering
Yeah.
patriarch.
yeah.
I said it.
He doesn't disagree. apparently.
Right. All right. What next?
Is there another question? Or?
Oh no, that was the main one. You said you were gonna you wanted to tell maybe some personal stories from your
Okay.
experiences.
Yeah, it was about 2 months after I moved in here. She kind of told you earlier, I was in my bedroom and I had a little toy poodle at the time, and I was the only one upstairs. Gosh, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning maybe, and just deep scratching, like right below the doorknob, so that's like what, 4 feet up.
3 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, just scratch deep.
Mhm.
And my dog even looked up, and I was like, I'm not opening that door. I am
Yeah.
not opening that door. That went on for about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes maybe.
That's a while.
Yes, it scared me. I was
Probably
like,
felt a lot longer than 3 or 4 minutes.
yes. I was like, that's definitely not a squirrel.
No.
If that's a rat, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a big rat.
yeah, it's a very big
But,
rat.
Yes.
but the next morning when she checked, there were no scratch marks
No.
on the outside
I mean,
of the
that
door.
would have left
Yeah.
some deep.
Yeah.
And that went on for 2 nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then not again. So, yep. Then the next one I remember is when I was alone here in the house when everybody had moved out. My son from Tennessee, my youngest one, came and visited with his girlfriend. They stayed here off and on a little bit. And they said, we're going out to go eat, Mom. I said, okay. So I was in my book, room reading a book. And all of a sudden, I hear this bam, 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 all the way up the stairs, like deep, And then it got to the top of the stairs, and you could just hear that pause of silence for a second.
Yeah.
And then all the way back down. Boom, 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 boom. And the door slammed, the front door. I was like, okay, what are the kids doing? What did they, So I went down, I looked, and the door was locked. The door was still locked, the front door. I called my son. I said, did you guys come home for anything? Did you forget something? Oh, no, Mom, we're clear across town. So I was like, the house was locked. So that was the first time I've heard that. And that has happened a few times. And I'm not the only one. My tenants have told me about stuff like that, too.
I experienced the same thing. I thought you had come home, and I was a tenant in a room downstairs, and I heard footsteps all the way up here, and Renee's room is up here, and then I heard some, shuffling around, and then footsteps back down, and the door closed, and I thought that you had been in and out, and I asked you, and you said no, and I was the only one here. But I got locked out the first night I moved in. I still had everything in boxes. My purse was on my bed. My cell phone was on my bed. And I went outside on the front porch, and it was cold that night. It had been raining, and the door with the deadbolt that you have to turn, not slide. You have to actually turn it. It was locked, and I was locked out, and I was the only one home. There was not a soul here.
Wow.
Now it's locked out everybody.
Yeah, Leslie gets locked out all the time.
They lock her out all the time.
We think Robert locks us out. We think Robert doesn't like doesn't like women here that are outspoken and kind of fun.
Oh, we're definitely getting locked out.
Now, the one time that did scare me to death, I was here by myself at night again. I've actually lived here for a year, but by myself. But it was about 2 a.m. again. That seems to be the hour they like to play the little pranks.
Yeah.
So the screen door here on the porch is kind of creak loud. You're gonna hear it slam, and so anyway, heard that slam, the door open outside my doorway because that's where the main entryway is. I mean, it was loud enough, like, who is coming in my top porch? How did they get up on my top porch? And so I called the police, actually. And they came, and I'm not going to say this, but I had my...
Right. Had some protection somewhere.
Had some protection.
Right.
Yeah. What do they call that? Stop the threat equipment. Emergency stop the
There
threat
you go.
equipment.
Yes.
So anyway, they called. The police said, "Ma'am, we need you to come out to the porch. Let us know that you're." I said, "There's no way in hell I'm going out my door."
Right.
But they did force me out eventually, and those doors were locked. The screen door had the thing in it,
Mm-hmm.
They were locked from the inside. So, okay. Anyway, I ended up letting the police in. They went through the house, and all the doors were locked. So, I mean, that was a little traumatizing to me. So,
What about this?
Well, you mentioned the you had one time where the metal, the pokers and stuff were.
that was her story with her.
That's
roommate,
that's
yes.
what I wanted to talk about. Was the other tenants, Chris up here, was a young guy. He was like probably early 20s, and I wasn't a tenant yet, but I was here handling the decorating for her Christmas event. She was in Tennessee, and I stayed in this room. He was over there, and one night I was helping him put together a Roku TV in his room, and later on that night there was a knock at my door, and I got up, and he said, "Can I come in?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, I said, "Why?" And he said, "I'm scared." And I could tell by his face he really was scared. And I let him in. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, I thought you had forgotten something and that you came walking in my room." He said, "And then I felt the covers being pulled off of me from the bottom of the bed. And then when I turned on my cell phone light," he said, "nobody is in there." And he said, "And I'm scared. Can I stay in here with you?" And he slept across the bottom of my bed. So, or her bed. And then he had the pokers that were rattling.
And you said you found him in the closet
They
when they were out here.
They were rattling that night, and he said that they were on the mantle not the mantle, but the hearth earlier. And so that kind of freaked me out because when I heard the chingling, I didn't know that there were fire pokers there, but I found them in the closet, and they were chingling in the closet, and there was no breeze, and that closet's so small. And I kind of thought it was a rat, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like looking around, and they're just chingling, and now they're tied together. So
Yeah, so you have saran wrap.
Uh-huh,
on right now,
yeah.
Yeah,
right?
so they don't move around.
yeah, so they don't
Yeah.
chingle.
My last tenant put those on there, and she said, she's real Christian, like, she says, "You got demons in this house."
Did she hear them? Okay, yeah, they do.
Oh, we're gonna definitely unwrap those.
But yeah, Leslie, they don't care for her particularly, really. They've locked her out immediately. They've told her to get out.
And it said that I have access or something like that. Is what he said
Yes,
at one point.
Yes.
Robert and Leslie go head to head. Yeah.
Yeah, she had mentioned to me because if you have not watched our podcast or our interviews, I've had Southern Ghost Girls on, Leslie in particular, and she's told me about those stories about being here. She's actually the one that got us connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting, her stories about that. But yeah, the main thing is just her and Robert just seem to get along, which makes sense. She's
Probably
very strong-willed.
because she can detect him and she can call him out, and he doesn't like that, especially in a woman. So, yeah. But now this was kind of a good one. I had a traveling nurse. I've had several traveling nurses. I enjoy having them here. I have one now. But she said one night, and this was down in the yellow room. It has some in it now, so I can't show you that room. But she woke up and she saw, you know how like you're in that dream state where you see the room, but you can't really like
interact with it or something.
Yeah. She saw people from the time period. I wish my photos on here. But anyways, of the time period of the 1880s, you know, and they were coming through the wall, just walking through the wall into the room. And she said there were several.
So was that full blown? Was that sleep paralysis? I think is what they call it.
Yeah,
or
sleep
whatever?
paralysis.
You think you're awake, but you can't move.
Right. I hate that. Absolutely hate that.
Right.
But anyways, when she told me that story, I took and showed her some of the pictures, and I wish I had the family one.
Yeah. The other Christmas Day, the family portrait.
But anyways, I showed her the actual family, the Cooper, Charles, and all them, and she said that was them.
Yeah.
Before she'd even seen the photos. So.
Wow.
Okay, that's Christmas Day. But the one of them lined up on that side porch shows how big the family is.
Yeah, they had like, what, 30?
Yeah, do you have
people?
that photo?
Oh wow.
Maybe we can add that later.
But every Christmas they were here. Every Christmas they took a family photo on that side porch.
This porch, because it still has the original
Yes.
decorative trim and all that.
But this was their Christmas. And when I was here decorating for your Christmas event, you told me to keep the music playing and but that they liked Christmas, and they did. I mean, they.
Yeah, most of their photos were taken at Christmas time.
And
stuff,
the children have dolls.
Yes, those are
Well,
creepy.
Tom Robert would allow it.
Yeah, I know. But these are the dolls. I mean, they look like creepy little kids they're holding on
But
to.
you see the number of children in this family. When I was here alone, not only did I hear footsteps, I heard children singing and talking and laughing, and that's the daytime activity.
Yeah.
Yes, this house is active. It doesn't matter if it's night or day. If they want to show, they want to just move around.
And I don't watch television. I do not have a television. I didn't have one, then either. And so there was no. It wasn't TV turned down or anything like that. There was the children.
Remember the rocking chair you told me about? You said you went to the front porch.
On the front porch.
That was
Yes, because I smoke cigarettes on the front porch, and I would open the door sometimes and to go out and have my smoke, and the rocking chair would be rocking just like there was somebody sitting in it, and you just kind of do a double take, but
She said she felt like she was interrupting something.
I did. I always
You walk
felt
into a room and just
Yeah.
like everyone turns and looks at you, and you're like, I'm sorry.
yeah.
back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, I don't know, felt like I was in trouble because I was smoking, So,
Maybe you should have offered. I'm sorry, you won't. My
Now would
bad.
they grab me and see it?
Yeah.
He'd be like, I'm out of here then.
yeah. But the fun things that we have done in the past, the Valentine's Day murder mystery dinner, we had a lot of people come and participate in that interactive play. We had great food. We had great costumes, and we have a lot of pictures of that. And then we've had what was the flapper one? The 20s.
Roaring 20s.
Yes, we had the
We're
Roaring
going to have one actually with TJ Justice. Is that what his
Yeah,
name?
Greg.
Greg
Yes,
TJ
anyway.
Justice. Yeah.
So this home, I guess when people do a search for paranormal activity in the area, this home comes up. And, I would like to think that I kind of contributed to that because
She did.
Yeah.
She got me in the papers that first time, and everything.
And then you've had follow up,
Yeah.
visits, and so I'm proud of that I could contribute in that way to help this home stay here. I mean, and not fall down from water damage.
Yes, and if it keeps going, unfortunately, in the next year or two, it's going to be pretty bad.
Right.
So I'm hoping that people that are listening to us will bring other. Did you say you have teams listening too? So
Teams listening, and then I just have contacts and teams and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll definitely do our part to get the word out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now because the need is so imminent.
yes,
I think the best thing for us to do that we're going to do is start a GoFundMe
Right.
page for just a roof, maybe gutters, just stop the water damage.
yeah,
Yeah.
And because it takes time to put together, tours and everything, and she's been told she can't operate the Airbnb for, as a business. And what do you do? I mean, she's ill. She's going in to have some procedures done. This has been really a job for her. When I met her, she couldn't let go of the home. She was working at dirt cheap to keep it, to keep it going, and that was one of 3 jobs. I want to help her all I can, get it out there that this is a great place that needs to be saved. However.
yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the spirits have been directing me to just keep going. Because normally I would be like, no, I'm killing myself for what, a house?
And Renee. I mean, I know Renee now, and she's a little spoiled, I mean, she can be spoiled, and she likes her, rest and things like that. So to be driven so hard to keep this place going, it's, I think they kind of have her, doing their work.
Yeah. I mean, I even have higher ambitions of getting on the city council and taking over mayorship one day. They're saying go. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned one other story of you actually saw a full body apparition.
Yes, I can't believe I haven't told that story yet because that's a big one.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
It's much more
Are
rare.
we going to add that picture of Mary because that's kind of
Yeah.
important?
Just any pictures you want me to add to the video, I'll throw up in editing. So just
that was
send them to me.
my first introduction really to Mary. So I was just walking up the stairs one day and I got to the second part of the landing and I'm not going to say it was head on. It was more of a peripheral. Yes, an old-time woman in a white antique skirt and tight blouse as they wore back then. And her hair was in a loose, full bun like they used to wear.
Right.
And she just turned over and looked at me briefly, and then she just disappeared. I was like, wow, okay. And then later I found her picture, and it was Mary Cooper.
Yeah.
So I guess she was saying hello. And ever since then, she's just been very protective of me, if I've been in bad situations, and I don't know how to explain it, but she always talks for me. We have investigations, she'll be right there with me, and it's hard to explain. You just know her presence. You just
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing too that when I wrote my article on this house that I thought was kind of funny is that the tenants think that each other is playing tricks on each other because things will be moved and placed, and even through closed doors. So it's they think somebody's come in their room and moved something somewhere, and they accuse each other of playing tricks, but it's really not a trick.
No.
Right.
I was telling her how I'll be like cleaning a room and vacuuming the floor, and I'll come back in like, I don't know, couple minutes or so, and there'll be quarters and pennies. Just
Mm-hmm.
they like giving me that money, I guess, to help me.
Well, there you go. Yeah, trying to
Yeah.
do their part.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And it's happened
Right.
more than once, so I know it's them. You know.
Just
They're
a whole
saying-
wallet on the table.
Right? They're saying
Slides over. Do what you will.
They're saying we need a roof.
Unlimited
woman.
MasterCard.
Yeah. This guy's got a gold card here.
I don't think they understand how much the value of money, but
Right.
at least they're helping.
Well, back then that was a pretty high cost.
Right.
I
And we
gave you a
think-
quarter. Is that not enough to fix a roof? What are you
It's
doing?
a Coke or two.
And we think that there was something about the little Mary that
Yes.
made her different than the other grandchildren, because in the last will and testament of Mr. Cooper, I read where he left all of his grandchildren. It was like $150 and a horse. Okay, well, you get to Mary and he leaves her $5.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, there's something going on, you know,
Yeah.
that would make her different.
Now this wasn't the Mary Cooper; it was
Right.
the granddaughter.
Yeah, there's a big Mary and little Mary, but
And
the
there's
little,
actually another Mary and Robert that also married. So there's two sets
Uh-huh.
of those also.
right. But
Yeah.
the grandchild was the only one. She was left $5.
Yes. Why?
And it's in his last
Pretty
will.
strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. So there's something about Mary.
You had mentioned when we were taking a little bit of a tour that the closet in this room, there is people have noticed the presence of a young girl or a girl, a feminine
Yeah.
presence in
They
the
say
closet,
this room is very masculine until they get to that closet. Then there's a female energy there.
and it's like in the very far corner.
The far corner where the pokers were changing.
Okay.
Yes.
Like maybe
jingling.
she was jingling them in there to get attention or
Yes.
something.
That's where those things were when I saw them, in that corner.
It's very strange that it'd be in one spot unless is there something behind that wall?
I have no idea. I just, I don't know.
I don't know how old that closet is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But, and you were a human pendulum,
Oh God, I'll
During-
never do that again.
right, during an investigation. And Leslie was asking the questions, and she asked something about a Mary. I don't know, but you saw some things that you could not speak of.
It's like they wouldn't let me tell what I saw.
And when she came out of that, she wasn't right. She was rattled, and she said she'll never do it again. And she was different. I noticed she was different. She's my friend, you know.
I mean that that's actually letting something use your body.
Right.
So I shouldn't have done that.
Well, I mean, Leslie closed you off and everything, but the fact that you were seeing things that you couldn't verbalize, that was kind of creepy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what kind of things have you guys done as far as?
Oh, any particular things we've done? So we've done a few different investigations as this group. I've done some from previous groups too. I've been to Savannah, done the Moon River Brewing, a couple of cemeteries down there, Sorrel Weed House, that kind of thing. We have another Savannah trip in middle of November to the 1790s Inn. We'll be staying.
Dying to go down there.
Oh, I'd go to Savannah just to go to Savannah.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the ghost. I
Dying
would
to
just go.
go.
That place is amazing. But yeah, the ghost of Anne haunts room 204. We booked 204, and then we're hoping to get down into the basement restaurant area after hours because there is a ghost of a slave woman who worked there. They've caught bracelet jingling, and she doesn't tend to like the female staff. Which doesn't really play into us at all, but whatever. But as our group, we went to South Pittsburgh, old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We've done courthouse in Buchanan, Georgia, a old mill, which is now like an event center in Bremen.
That was a rough place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've done Morris County Jail in Lynchburg. We don't speak much to that one. The best part of that experience was the Jack Daniel's distillery we went to before that.
That was the best part of that whole weekend.
We were part of the first investigation team to investigate the Jefferson Towers in Birmingham.
Really?
Yes,
Yes.
that was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
And
We had the Roaring 20s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
yeah, this is, I mean, I'm not really like all, paranormal all the time. I mean, I have a lot of interest, but this is an interest I never thought I would have. And now that I have it, I'm more open-minded to a lot of things,
Right.
Especially how energy can, manifest itself in different forms. And I mean, and I get it. And like so many people don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I don't try to debate or convince or anything. I know what I have seen, and I did not go as an active. I went as an observer, and I saw some stuff.
Yeah, it is hard to hard to believe if you've never had an experience. It's very hard to believe, and I get it. But at the same time, if you've had experiences, then
Right.
I still don't believe. I don't.
Well, this house will make you a believer.
we also did Macon last month. Macon at the 1842 inn, so it's
Wow.
the Victorian age. And it was his side of the investigation didn't do very well.
Didn't have a lot
they
of
didn't have
luck.
anything. My side, we did. We stayed in a room with a little toddler ghost, and she was very, very active throughout the night. So that was pretty good. But yeah, we do a lot of that. We're planning on doing a lot more. Travel a lot more next year. This year we're kind of winding down a little bit. We're going to be doing the stuff in November, and then just more interviews and just more podcasts for the rest of the year. And then next year we'll be doing a lot more investigation.
Okay, yeah. I've had a lot of other teams contact me for next year. You know, everybody's pretty set for the rest of these months and Christmas.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
all
they're
that.
usually working up towards this month, especially. This is
Yes.
this is the Super Bowl of paranormal
Oh
Yes.
yes.
content.
Yeah.
So everyone's already booked this out.
We
back
got a
in
late
January.
start. We just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just for a lot of reasons. But I think that the donation aspect is going to be successful. For now and.
yeah, we're gonna try to hold community events too, like
Yeah.
chili cook-offs or
We
just
want to have
different things.
we
you know.
want to have a Cooper family reunion.
Cooper family reunion.
And
Wonderful.
invite the Coopers and just have a barbecue, let them buy plates or whatever. But
Markets, vendors.
yeah, so
I thought it might be kind of cool to have some local teams maybe do just a short little, what you guys call a paracon or whatever, and just have them meet here. We could do that out in the yard and have them look at the house. You guys could talk whatever you guys talk about. Share equipment
It's
or
usually
whatever
baking
it is.
secrets.
Well, my van's bigger. So I don't know what you're talking about.
right.
But we're always open to ideas too. If anybody has some wonderful ideas to do some fundraising and stuff, so
All right.
And
Right
if
on.
anyone out there is a contractor out of the kindness of your heart, if you love historic places, we could use some help.
definitely, we don't want this house to fall in.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank you all for having us.
well, thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
thank you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
excited. We'll do some EVP sessions a little bit in the next hour or so, or a couple hours, and then wrap it up for the evening. But what was I say? I was about to say something else. Oh, definitely watching this. Everyone who's watching this, definitely help out. Definitely check this place out. And I have a lot of people who follow us that are into the paranormal. We got research teams and groups like that, and other people that just might want to come by and see. Or
Yes,
Or
you
whatnot,
can
so
stay the
definitely-
night in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
so
definitely come paranormal teams.
yeah, definitely.
For
But yeah,
a donation.
thank you, Renee. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Chris and
Thank
Chris.
you.
And
Thank you, Chris and
Swish.
Chris. Nice to
Chris,
meet you.
Chris squared, right? That's what we used to
Yes.
call it.
That's how it all started,
Yeah,
actually.
Chris. So on behalf of Talk Haunted to Me, I'm Chris. This is,
I'm Chris.
that's also Chris. Yeah. So we're signing off. Have a good one.
All right.
Right.